Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are wrestling with something that seems pretty straightforward at first glance. Simplicity versus complexity.
Right, like simple is good, complex is bad. Or maybe complex is smart, simple is novice.
Exactly. But as we dug into the source material you shared, it became really clear it's not that binary at all. It's more of a dynamic tension.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at a pretty deep inquiry here into how we even define these concepts. And, well, realizing that simplicity isn't always a virtue. Sometimes it's a trap.
And complexity isn't just messy chaos either. It's often just the reality, the raw material of the systems we live in.
Yeah, and that tension, that push and pull between wanting clear answers and needing nuance, it shapes, well, almost everything. How we design software, political debates.
Even personal relationships, absolutely.
Definitely.
And what the reading really highlights is how subjective these terms are. They carry social weight, you know? Simplicity feels good, it promises clarity, efficiency.
Predictability, it feels safe.
Exactly. Safe, manageable. But then if you call someone's work simple, well, that can be an insult, right? Implying it lacks depth, lacks sophistication.
Right, like it's novice work.
Yeah. And then complexity, on the other hand, holds influence. The people who get complexity, the specialists, the experts, they often have more power.
Okay, but that power is where the tension really kicks in, isn't it?
It is, because complexity can absolutely be weaponized, used as gatekeeping, deploying jargon or technical depth just to create a barrier.
Basically saying, if you don't get this, you don't belong.
Precisely.
So the mission for this deep dive feels pretty crucial then. We need some kind of framework to figure out how to balance these things, how to know when to lean into simplicity and when complexity is actually necessary.
Yeah, when to value one over the other in different situations.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Where do we start?
Well, first off, we absolutely have to make a key distinction from the sources. Simplicity isn't just one thing. It's not monolithic.
Ah, right, the two faces.
Exactly. There are two fundamentally different kinds operating out there. The first, and maybe the most common one, is what the sources call functional simplicity.
Okay, functional, like practical.
Totally practical. The goal is just removing unnecessary friction. Think about an airport sign that's easy to read.
Or a user interface that just works. You don't need a manual.
Right. The virtue is pure function. Accessibility, speed, reliability. It saves you thinking effort, basically.
And that's vital, obviously. We need that in modern life. But there's a shadow side, isn't there?
There is. If we demand that everything has to be easy, frictionless, well, we start valuing speed over depth.
And the sources warn about that. People might stop engaging critically. Why think hard or creatively if the easy, automated path is always pushed as the best one?
Okay, so that's functional simplicity. What's the other face?
The second one is much deeper. It's philosophical simplicity. You could call it the elegance of understanding.
Elegance of understanding. I like that.
Yeah. And this kind doesn't aim to make things easy. It aims to make complex things clear.
Ah, okay. So that's a massive difference. This is clarity that's earned.
Exactly. The goal is reducing chaos down to its essence, seeing the pattern, but only after you've wrestled with the complexity.
It requires wisdom, synthesis, real effort.
Tremendous effort. And you know that quote the sources bring up, the Einstein one?
Everything should be made as simple as possible.
But not simpler. Right, that not simpler part is key. There's a line.
Cross that line, and you're not being elegant anymore. You're just distorting things.
Precisely. Mature simplicity is the destination, not the starting line.
Okay, so if simplicity is the destination, that brings us right to complexity. We have to stop seeing it as just the enemy, right?
Absolutely. The core idea here is that complexity isn't the opposite of simplicity. It's the terrain. It's the landscape that makes simplicity meaningful in the first place. It's the raw stuff.
The terrain. I like that metaphor. It implies you can't really simplify something if you don't understand the terrain first.
You got it. The reading confirms that true philosophical simplicity, that elegant kind, it sits on top of a deep understanding of the complexity.
Like a smooth, simple button on an app.
That hides an incredibly complex backend doing all the work.
And the real-world biology, markets, social systems, it's just inherently complex.
It is. And denying that complexity, trying to force simplicity onto it, that's where we get into trouble. The sources talk about creating fragile systems.
Fragile systems?
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly? Like things that break easily?
Yeah, systems that look neat on paper. They follow simple, maybe linear rules. But the moment they hit the messy, unpredictable real world, they shatter.
Can you give an example? Because that sounds like a huge issue, maybe in how organizations are set up.
Oh, definitely. Think about Really rigid, top-down corporate rules, a checklist for everything.
Okay.
It works fine for the easy, standard stuff, maybe 80% of cases. But then a truly complex new problem comes up, something needing judgment, nuance.
And the system forces people to follow the simple checklist, even if it makes no sense.
Exactly. They have to make absurd choices, just tick the box. They prioritize the rule over the reality, and the system just snaps under the pressure.
So the wise response isn't trying to control complexity, but humility, flexibility.
Humility and flexibility, yeah. Recognizing you can't just eliminate it.
Okay, but we also need to talk about power. You mentioned earlier that fluency in complexity often means influence.
It does. The experts, the specialists who navigate that terrain well, they hold sway.
But that's where it can turn sour, right?
Yep.
Into what you called performative sophistication.
Mm-hmm. Using that depth, that jargon, not for precision, but as a barrier.
Yeah.
To keep people out.
So if complexity is power, when does it become destructive? When does it lead us into these traps?
Well, that's a really important question for you listening. How do you protect yourself from being misled? Because people can make things too simple or too complex, and both are dangerous.
Good point. Let's look at the traps, starting with the simple trap, leaning too far into ease. First danger, oversimplification as distortion. Reducing things to black and white either. Ignoring all the gray areas where, let's be honest, most of life happens.
Right, like political sound bites promising easy fixes for incredibly complex problems.
Exactly. But maybe the trickiest one psychologically is the false sense of mastery, the fluency illusion.
Yeah, the zipper thing.
Tell us about the zipper example. It's great.
Okay, so almost everyone thinks they know how a zipper works. You describe it, teeth interlocking, slider moving. It sounds obvious, simple.
Right, seems easy.
But then you ask them to actually draw it, show the mechanics of the slider, how it engages the teeth, and almost nobody can do it accurately.
Wow.
They mistook the ease of hearing the explanation, the fluency for actual understanding. The simple description gave them an illusion of mastery that just vanished when tested.
So easy explanations feel good, but don't always stick.
They often don't lead to real competence. And there's another danger, too, innovation stagnation.
How does simplicity hurt innovation?
Well, if we demand that every new idea must be instantly simple, easily digestible, think about the elevator pitch test.
Right, got to explain it in 30 seconds.
Exactly. But truly innovative ideas are often messy at first. They're complex, hard to explain. If they have to pass that super simple test right away, many worthwhile, complex ideas just die before they get a chance to mature.
Okay, so those are serious warnings about oversimplifying. Essential guardrails. And what about the other side? The complex trap.
This is where we get complexity for complexity's sake, that performative sophistication we mentioned.
Using fancy words just to sound smart.
Pretty much. Jargon, inflation in academia, maybe, or feature bloat in tech products. Adding more and more complex features just because they can.
Right, ending up with a Swiss Army knife that's so complicated you can't even find the basic blade you need.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how quickly that bloat leads to the next problem. Paralysis by analysis.
Getting stuck.
Yeah. You dive so deep into every detail, every option, every nuance. The sheer volume just overwhelms you. Decision fatigue sets in.
Like trying to research every single spec before buying a phone and then just giving up.
Or perfectionism, right? Overthinking everything because there are too many variables. You have so much data, so much complexity. You lose confidence and just freeze, paralyzed by possibility.
And there's a really critical ethical angle here too, isn't there? Obscured accountability.
Oh, absolutely. In really complex systems, big corporations, government agencies, it becomes incredibly hard to figure out who's actually responsible when something goes wrong.
It's complicated. Becomes the perfect excuse.
It's an ethical escape hatch, a way to dodge responsibility, or sometimes it's an intentional strategy to avoid clarity.
That's spot on. We really need to remember this isn't just intellectual gymnastics. Choosing simplicity or complexity. It's often a political act.
Definitely. Who benefits from things being clear? Who benefits from them being opaque, hard to understand? If I can hide bad decisions or poor performance behind layers of complex jargon, well, I escape accountability.
Okay, so if going too simple is bad and going too complex is bad, how do we navigate this? How do we, the learner listening right now, stop picking a side and start choosing the right approach for the right moment?
Well, the sources offer a really helpful way to think about it. They suggest simplicity and complexity aren't opposites, but different altitudes of perspective.
Altitudes.
Like flying height. Kind of. And the key to wisdom is learning to move fluidly between these altitudes. knowing when to dive deep into the complexity and when to rise above for clarity.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
There is a framework called the three simplicities. It mirrors how we learn anything complex, really. It's a cycle.
A cycle, okay. What are the stages?
You start at naive simplicity. This is ignorance, basically. The beginner looks at something complex and thinks, this looks easy.
Because you don't know what you don't know yet.
Exactly. Then, inevitably, you hit the wall, you enter functional complexity.
The messy middle.
The messy, painful middle. This is where you realize, whoa, this is way harder than I thought. You're struggling with the details, the nuances. It's the steep part of the learning curve where you feel lost.
Where you might want to give up.
Right. But if you push through, you can reach the third stage, mature simplicity, integrated understanding.
So you haven't forgotten the complexity.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You don't deny the chaos, you transcend it, you look back and think, okay, it's still hard, but now I understand why it's hard, and I know which parts truly matter.
It's simplicity that comes after mastery, after wrestling with the details.
That's it.
This cycle feels like a really practical compass then. It helps you choose the right mode depending on what you're trying to do.
Exactly. The framework suggests when you are learning or discovering, you have to embrace complexity.
Dive deep.
Dive deep. Explore, uncover nuance, understand the whole messy terrain. Don't rush it, let it be complicated.
Okay, but
Critically, when you need to act or communicate, you need to switch altitudes. You need to embrace simplicity.
why the switch?
Because the goal then is alignment, getting things done, avoiding that paralysis we talked about. If you try to communicate all the complexity you discovered, you'll just overwhelm people. Your message gets lost.
Okay, I can see that. Like insisting design.
Hmm.
Engineers need the complexity early on, right, to build something robust.
Definitely. They need to live in the messy details.
But then the product manager or the UI designer has to translate all that complexity into something incredibly simple for the user.
Crushing simplicity, yeah.
Mhm.
So the user can actually use it without thinking about the tangled back end.
So if we summarize the altitudes, ground level functional simplicity is about doing, but its weakness is being naive or rigid.
Right. And the high-level, refined simplicity is about wisdom. Its strength is that effortless clarity that comes from deep understanding.
And the real goal is getting good at moving between them. Fluid literacy.
Fluid literacy, that's the aim.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because this isn't just about work projects or learning skills. It applies to just managing our own minds,
Right.
our energy.
Absolutely. The goal isn't to label yourself, I'm a simple person or I'm a complex thinker. Our brains actually need both. They oscillate.
Oscillate. How so?
Well, we need simplicity for peace,
Yeah.
for mental control, for feeling grounded. It feels like exhaling, settling.
Okay, I get that.
But we also crave complexity. It drives growth, stimulation, deeper understanding. That feels more like inhaling, expanding our capacity.
So wisdom is in the rhythm. Knowing how to breathe, metaphorically speaking.
Mastering that rhythm.
Yeah.
Knowing when you need grounding simplicity and when you need expansive complexity.
And the sources gave us that fantastic self-check question for daily life. The one to ask whenever we're trying to simplify something.
The wiser tired question. It's brilliant.
Remind us.
When you are simplifying something, a task, an explanation, maybe even a relationship, ask yourself, am I doing this because I am wise or because I am tired?
Oof, that hits home. Because how often do we just want the easy way out because we're exhausted?
All the time. We hide cognitive exhaustion behind the label of efficiency.
So, am I cutting this corner because it's truly unnecessary or because I just don't have the energy to deal with the nuance anymore?
That simple question cuts right through it. It reveals if you're aiming for that mature, integrated simplicity or just running away from the effort complexity requires.
So what does this all mean? To wrap this up, maybe we can use that final metaphor, the one from Zen. It seems to capture the whole journey.
Yeah, the mountains metaphor, it perfectly mirrors that cycle from naive to mature simplicity. It goes in 3 stages.
Okay, stage 1.
First, mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers. This is naive simplicity. You see the world simply, factually, because you haven't questioned it yet.
Untouched reality.
Right. Then you start to study, to struggle. You encounter the chaos, the contradictions. And for a time, mountains are not mountains and rivers are not rivers.
Ah, that's the functional complexity stage. Everything dissolves into nuance, uncertainty. It feels confusing.
Deeply confusing, painful even. But if you stick with it, if you keep wrestling with the complexity,
You reach the 3rd stage.
you reach the 3rd stage, Mountains are again mountains, and rivers are again rivers.
So you come back to the beginning.
You come back, but you're not the same. It's refined simplicity. The mountain is still a mountain, yes, but now your understanding of it, its geology, its ecosystem, its place in the bigger picture, is profoundly deeper. You see the simplicity through the complexity you've integrated.
Wow.
So the mastery isn't just knowing when to dive deep and when to rise above. It's knowing why you're choosing that altitude in that moment.
It's about intentionality.
Intentionality, and recognizing that true simplicity isn't the absence of complexity, it's the harmony you find within it.